If you're in a struggle trying to decide on a career path that suits you, this jam talk might just be for you. Stick around till the end for 3 ways you can take action right now to have a little bit of clarity over what you're really gifted at. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jam video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm Rupen from Jammed, and today we'll be talking about the difference between being gifted at something and having a passion for it, and how you can identify what your talents really are in case you're struggling to pick a career path that is right for you. If you are new to this channel, first of all, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay here. On this channel I do design content dedicated for designers like yourself on various different topics. Make sure to watch this video till the end, and if you liked it, please check out my channel for more. So today's topic, we'll be talking about how you can actually pick a career path that works for you. And I'll start this off by stating, in my personal opinion, the nothing is impossible mindset has many flaws. If you go around and try to ask anywhere, any of your friends, or read a random blog or whatever it is that it might be, you will always find the easy answer that nothing is impossible and you can choose to become whatever it is that you want to be. But based on my experience and many of other people's experiences, that just doesn't make much sense. I'm not discouraging you here, but that saying is flawed in many ways because people naturally tend to differ from one another at what they're good at, and that's just facts. One person might be good at playing ball and another at composing music. They're not the same thing, however both of them are equally respected in their own fields by other people who do the same thing as them. The music composer is respected by other music composers, and the same goes with the athlete. Why am I making this point now? Because sometimes you might be talented at something but you choose to ignore it because you're already good at it, so you tend to focus on other things that give you a harder time, because you've somehow convinced yourself that you have some sort of passion for it. And I'm not saying that these things do not make you happy, however when you work on them, you tend to notice that you don't always excel at them. Then you try pursuing that passion of yours for a very long time without realizing that you've already hit a wall and have been stuck there for a while. To let you picture it with me, let's say that you're a fish, okay? Let's say you've been living a good life in the sea and all has been fine lately. However, you start to notice some humans on the shore. They seem to be breathing outside and having a good time. You then have a passion to try and get out of the sea and start living with other humans. Now, unless you're some genius fish that came up with the idea of building a water rebreather on land for other fish, making you the Elon Musk of the ocean, well, that was that would bring other fish to land, you're gonna be stuck there for a while and have dreams about something that is totally against your nature. Do you kind of see where I'm coming from? Naturally, the environment that we're raised in and our genes and how our minds operate differently from one another determines our strengths and weaknesses. So you can spend all your days trying to develop your weaknesses or rise to the top by working on your strengths. It is just like playing any other RPG game. There are a bunch of different classes, the warrior for example, the mage, the archer, you name it. Can you not give a mage a sword and push him right into the battlefield? Of course you could, however imagine giving him a staff, now see how much more useful he's going to be. The same point applies to your life. You do not need to be an artist or a designer or an engineer or an architect just because you love these topics. Sometimes you're gonna face some concrete constraints that will hit you hard because we do not choose what our strengths and weaknesses are sometimes. You do not get to choose your class at birth like in video games. Of course, you can develop your weaknesses, but I believe knowing your strengths and maximizing on them is much more efficient, especially when it comes to the design industry. If you discover your class early on in life, you will know which weapon to pick to benefit you and the design team around you. If you discover what you're good at in design, if you maximize on it, you'll get ahead of many others. For a very long time in my graphic design career, I've been trying to find things that really keep me engaged, things that I really love doing. However, whenever I found those things, I wasn't really very good at them. I love art and concept sketching and all of that, but when it comes to doing it, it didn't really come to me as natural as designing other things, for example. If we're speaking of branding, motion graphics, and editing, I found myself more talented in these areas, and it was extremely obvious to me and the people around me, despite them being boring sometimes. Does this mean I don't have any passion for art anymore? Of course not, it is still there. However, if we're speaking from a business standpoint, it made me start to realize my limitations and start to set priorities. When you prioritize your strengths over your weaknesses, it really serves you well. Not being a good artist doesn't mean that you're a failure. Just like the fish example, it just means that you're good elsewhere that you still haven't discovered yet. And another thing is, not being a good artist doesn't mean you should stop practicing art altogether. I still draw every now and then and I enjoy every single moment of it, but at the same time I still prioritize working on my strengths despite how boring they can be. Knowing what you're really gifted at really does push you a giant step ahead in the business world. So how do you get to identify your talents and how can you actually know what you're good at? Here's the thing, knowing what you're good at is not really a linear path, and I'm not going to tell you if you do A and B and C, you're finally going to uncover your talents and that there's a Disney lifestyle waiting for you. It is much more different than that. However, I'll be sharing 3 ways you can take action right now that could simplify the process of finding your strengths. Discovering your talents requires a lot of patience and exploration. So for method number 1, try out different things for at least an hour each week. If you're into graphic design, how about you pick up an easy beginner's tutorial about music composition for example and try out something fun for you. Something you wanted to try for a while but didn't quite have the time or courage. Who knows, you might be good at it and end up making your own music for your own videos and whatever it is that you do. I didn't know how easy motion graphics came to me until I tried it. Imagine the amount of things you're about to discover once you step the fear aside and just try. Knowing and trying different softwares for different purposes really expands your skill set and allows you to know more about what you like and what you don't like. You can never know what you're good at and what you aren't good at without trying first. So even if you fail the first time, don't be discouraged at all. It is totally expected to fail the first couple of times before you can get good at something. Sometimes you can just tell if you like doing something almost immediately. It's like a light switch that has been turned on. Your gut feeling will tell you if something feels right to you. Do not ignore it. And in addition, even if you don't like what you've learned, you still have an extra skill that you've absorbed which you might find useful in the future. Okay, for the second tip, start crossing out what doesn't work for you and be brutally honest with yourself. If you want to know what you're good at, instead of approaching it by trying to find your strengths, try finding your weaknesses. By finding what you're not good at, you slowly filter out the noise and start to have clarity over your strengths. And you'll start to appreciate what you know much more. Identify your weaknesses and either start crossing them out, or maybe you still want to work on them, so highlight them. It's a matter of being real with yourself. It's okay if you're not good at X, Y, or Z. Maybe they aren't for you, and maybe you haven't even tried hard enough. How do you know that? You know that by trying harder. And how do you know that they aren't for you? When they seem too hard for you and make you feel exhausted afterwards. And by the time you've crossed out a bunch of things that you're not really good at, you will slowly start shining light over what you're actually capable of doing at a proficient level. And only then do you start pushing yourself further and test your limits. And don't be afraid to fail, because everybody does anyway at some point in their life. Lastly, for number 3, listen to external sources on what they think about you, because they're probably true. This one is tricky. If you have a good friend who you consider trustworthy and honest with you, who doesn't sugarcoat the truth, ask them for advice. Take the time and go ask your friend honestly. What do you think I'm good at? What do you think I should work on? Do you honestly think I'm talented at X? And through asking questions, listen to their answers without any judgment. Learn to take advice on your life from people that you trust and listen to others' critique. It makes you a much more humble person overall, and people like that. Listening to other people's input gives you clarity over your own weaknesses and strengths. Because sometimes we have blind spots and false judgments about ourselves, and your friends and mentors are best fit to help you discover your strengths. This is my personal advice on how you could find what you're gifted at, and of course please take this video with a grain of salt, but this is the way that has worked best for me, and I think it should work for you too. Let me state this again, I did not make this video with the intention to kill your dreams, but to give you a little clarity on how you could prioritize on your strengths. And by all means, go do whatever makes you feel fulfilled. Thank you for making it till the end of the video. If you learned a thing or two, please jam that like button as it really helps push my channel forward, and share this video with other designers who would find it useful, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the future jam content. And let me know down in the comments, have you also been passionate about something but found yourself stuck? Let me know about your experiences down in the comments. I do a little stalking down there. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.